Have you ever looked at your bank account, your rent bill, your daily commute, and just thought, what if I started completely over somewhere else? What if I told you that some countries are so desperate for new residents that they will literally pay you to show up? Not metaphorically. Not in some vague tax break kind of way. Cash, grants, free land, and in some cases, a full financial welcome package just for planting your roots there. This is real. It is happening right now in 2026. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly which countries are doing it, how much they are offering, and what you actually need to qualify. Let me start with why this is even a thing. A lot of people assume governments just want fewer people, lower costs, smaller populations to manage. But the reality is the opposite. Dozens of countries around the world are facing serious demographic crises. Their populations are aging, young people are leaving for bigger cities, rural towns are emptying out, and tax bases are shrinking. When a government looks at a dying town or a region losing economic output, they start doing the math. And sometimes the math says it is cheaper to pay someone to move there than to let the whole area collapse. That is where you come in. Let us talk about Italy first, because Italy has been doing this longer than almost anyone, and the programs have only gotten more generous. Several towns across southern Italy and the Italian islands have been offering grants to new residents for a few years now. And in 2026, those programs are still running and expanding. The basic deal is this. You move to one of these small rural towns, you commit to staying there and potentially opening a business or renovating a property, and the local municipality gives you money. We are talking grants that have ranged from 7,000 euros all the way up to 30,000 euros, depending on the specific town and program. Some places like Calabria and Sicily have also introduced additional incentives tied to remote workers, specifically targeting people who already earn income from abroad and just need a place to live. The towns get economic activity. You get paid to live somewhere that honestly looks like a Renaissance painting. Now, before you book your flight to Palermo, understand the requirements. Most Italian programs require you to actually register as a resident, not just visit. You typically have to invest in a property, sometimes purchasing a home that may be listed for as little as €1. Yes, €1. Though the catch is renovation costs, which can add up quickly. You also need to demonstrate that you can support yourself financially. So this is not a program for someone with zero savings. But for a remote worker, a freelancer, or a retiree with some resources, the numbers can work out beautifully. Moving across to the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal has been one of the most talked about relocation destinations in the world for the last several years. And even with some recent policy shifts around their Golden Visa program, there are still pathways in 2026 that make Portugal incredibly attractive. The D8 Digital Nomad Visa in particular allows remote workers to establish legal residency with a relatively low income threshold compared to other Western European countries. Portugal is not handing you a check at the airport, but the combination of lower cost of living, access to the European Union, excellent healthcare, and a straightforward residency pathway makes it one of the most financially smart moves you can make. Some regional municipalities within Portugal have also been quietly running depopulation reversal grants similar to Italy's, offering smaller financial incentives in exchange for settling in rural interior regions. Here is where things get really interesting. Let us talk about the Republic of Georgia, which sits right at the crossroads of Europe and Asia and has become a surprisingly hot destination for relocators. Georgia has a flat tax rate of 20%, a very simple tax filing system, and for many foreigners earning income from outside Georgia, there are legal frameworks that can significantly reduce your tax burden. The country has been rolling out the red carpet for remote workers and entrepreneurs since the pandemic era, and in 2026, that welcome has only deepened. The cost of living in Tbilisi, the capital, is still remarkably low compared to most Western cities. You can rent a modern apartment in a great neighborhood for a fraction of what you would pay in London or New York or Sydney. Georgia is not cutting you a check, but it is cutting your expenses in half and offering one of the most relaxed and welcoming visa environments on the planet. Let us come back to direct financial payments, because Canada has some programs that deserve serious attention. Specific provinces, particularly in Atlantic Canada, including New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, have been running provincial nominee programs specifically designed to attract skilled workers and entrepreneurs to areas that are struggling with population decline. Some of these programs come with settlement bonuses and grants. New Brunswick in particular has been aggressive about this, and various municipalities within the province have offered financial incentives, subsidized housing support, and streamlined immigration pathways for people willing to put down roots. If you have been thinking about Canada anyway, these Atlantic provinces offer something the big cities simply cannot: a financial incentive to be there. Now let us talk about a place that surprises almost everyone when it comes up in this conversation. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yes, in the United States. The Tulsa Remote program has been one of the most successful place-based relocation incentive programs in recent memory, offering $10,000 in grants spread over a year to remote workers who relocate to Tulsa and stay for at least 1 year. While the program has evolved since its initial launch, the core concept is alive and has inspired similar programs across the country. Shoals, Alabama; Topeka, Kansas; Northwest Arkansas. These programs collectively represent a growing movement within the United States, where regions compete for talented remote workers by offering cold hard cash, co-working memberships, and community integration support. If moving abroad feels too dramatic, this might be your sweet spot. Speaking of dramatic moves, let us talk about the Caribbean. Barbados, Antigua and Barbuda, and several other island nations launched what they called digital nomad or welcome stamp visas during the pandemic years, and in 2026, many of these are still running with refinements. Barbados in particular charges a flat fee to apply for a 12-month remote work visa and then essentially gets out of your way. You live and work on the island, you pay tax on income earned in Barbados only if you are doing local work, and your home country tax situation may still apply depending on your citizenship. The point is, these governments want your spending in their local economy. When you rent an apartment, go to restaurants, hire local services, you are injecting foreign currency into a small island economy. That is valuable enough that they have built entire legal frameworks to make it easy for you to stay. Back to Europe briefly. Romania and the Czech Republic have both been running programs targeting skilled foreign workers with streamlined pathways and in some cases settlement support tied to specific industries. Romania in particular offers a very low cost of living, EU membership benefits for those who gain residency, and several regional grants for entrepreneurs willing to operate businesses in designated development zones. If technology, manufacturing, or agricultural entrepreneurship is your background, these pathways can come with real financial support. Here's the psychological shift that most people miss when they hear about these opportunities. They think the bar to entry must be impossibly high, that surely there is a catch so large it makes the whole thing not worth pursuing. And yes, every program has requirements. Every country wants something from you: your skills, your spending, your entrepreneurial energy, your ability to renovate a crumbling village home. But what these programs are all saying collectively is that the old model of staying put, grinding in an expensive city, paying enormous taxes and rent, and getting nothing in return, that model has competition now. Governments around the world are competing for you, for your presence, for your economic participation. The people who win in this new landscape are the ones who treat their location as a strategic decision rather than a default. Where you live is a choice with enormous financial consequences. And in 2026, for the first time in history, that choice comes with a menu of options that pay you to choose wisely. So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop in the comments which country from this list surprised you the most, or tell me where you are seriously considering moving. I read every comment. And if you want a deep dive into any of these specific programs, Italy's €1 homes, the Atlantic Canada Pathway, Tulsa Remote, the Caribbean Digital Nomad visas, let me know below, and I will cover each one in its own dedicated video. Hit subscribe because this is exactly the kind of content we are building here. Your location is your leverage. Start using it.